Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. Paul with Stud Pack. We're continuing our entertainer's remodel today. As you can see, we've got all the doors and drawers installed after we installed all the cabinets on the last video. Let me catch you up to speed on some of the things we've done since that last video. First thing we did, we put in most of our filler strips. This cabinet package came with this piece of wood, painted the color of the cabinets, and that's to make our filler strips. Filler strips are what fills in these areas between cabinets and walls or cabinets and adjacent cabinets. So I had this one here. We're going to show you how we did this one. I put one here, it's only 1/2 inch thick. That's to allow this door to open without rubbing the wall right here. And I've got one right here also so that this door will open without hitting that cabinet. Very important. And as you can see, we're really tight here. A lot of comments about putting a panel here. Yes, that would look great, but we just didn't have the room for it, guys. You can see how tight it is, and that's gonna be fine. A lot of comments about this refrigerator door hitting the windowsill. Yeah, it hits, but you can still get access. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna play that one by ear. We'll find a solution to that. Over here, we had some comments about these electrical boxes behind these cabinets. Now, this is for a microwave that's gonna go here. We're gonna take these drawers out, put in a built-in microwave, and we always use adjustable depth boxes on our backsplash walls and anywhere there's a cabinet. If you haven't seen these, they're gonna change your life. Look at that. Got them here too. And again, no matter what thickness backsplash, we can run that thing in and out and make it perfect. So today's project is the farm sink. We wanna get it all plumbed up and the subtops in. But before we do that, we owe you guys a shot of this ceiling. So if you guys see any imperfections in that ceiling, it's from the original framing. We're not gonna go through and fix every bit of that. It'd be nearly impossible. We just have to reframe this whole house. But this came out fantastic. So come on down here and let me show you what's going on with this farm sink. I got in here this morning and knocked out the electrical right here. It's much easier to do it from up above than from in here. You'll notice these aren't GFCI receptacles. We're on an older version of the code here. It's not required yet. I'm sure it will be someday. But for right now, that's fine. And you can see how nice that looks when you take these adjustable depth boxes, run them out to the face of your cabinet, do your wiring, put the cover plate on, looks great. Over here on the drain, I put an discussion around the pipe. So that's all finished. And the last thing we gotta deal with is the hot and the cold water. I told you before we were gonna change the angle stops. We always do. I love the 1/4 turn ones. These are by Brasscraft, made in the USA. Love these things. But it's not enough just to change these, because we're gonna have a problem. What's that problem? A lot of you probably have experienced it. On this faucet, we're gonna have a spray head that pulls out of the faucet on a hose, and it retracts automatically by a weight on the hose underneath. And that weight is gonna hit these. If you've lived in a kitchen that has that, you know what a hassle it is. So we're gonna head that off, and we're gonna move these to the side. I'm just gonna use copper and sweat it. I don't have Pro Press, and it's not worth it to get my plumber out here to run it in PEX. I'm not set up for PEX either. I like to sweat copper, and that's gonna be easy. So let's shut off the water to the house and run some copper. Alrighty guys, plumbing is done. That was super easy. So the original hot water valve was a single valve with a dual outlet, dishwasher and a faucet. I don't like those. I like to be able to work on the faucet and not have to turn off the dishwasher or hook up the dishwasher later and you still got the faucet working. Now they make a valve that attaches to your pipe here. It's got a handle on this side and a handle on this side, 2 outlets that are independent. Those things were $25 like 2 years ago. I bet they're 80 now. So I just picked up 2 angle stops and I made a drop for my dishwasher right here. So I have independent control. And if you live in an area where you need filtered water, just go ahead and put another valve on your cold side so you can shut off everything independent. It's the way to go. And we also added these blocks right here, so everything's super rigid. I think a squirrel could get under there and do pull-ups and be all right. So that's all done. Let's start on these subtops, man. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's jump on it. All right, guys, it's the next day. Yesterday, you saw us almost finish the subtops. We're gonna show you why I said almost here in a little bit. But we love the subtop stage. You know you did a good job setting cabinets when your subtops line up perfectly with the face of your cabinets all the way across, just like that. We also love it because it gives us a sense of the counters and how big they're gonna be, how much room the owners are gonna have. But the thing Jordan and I like the most, gives us a place to put our tools. We're not having to put them on the floor anymore. I walked to the little table we had set up. So let's walk over here and talk about this peninsula first. The original plan on this peninsula was to have it overhang this cabinet by 18 inches, about right here. Now when Jordan and I cut the subtop, we had a piece that was 3 by 6 foot left from all the rest. So we just installed the whole thing. Because we have all this room here. They've got grandkids. We thought maybe it'd be a good place for grandkids to sit.
The more counter space, the better.
That's right. And if they don't want it this big, it's super easy for us to modify it right now with a saw. Now, you saw me in the video route out that pocket in this area over the little pointing wall underneath. The reason for that was that originally I was going to have 1/4 inch steel plate hanging over, attached to the top of this pony wall and supported by these cabinets to support the peninsula. But since we changed plans, I just routed out that pocket to accommodate the pony wall. That was easier for me than trying to shave off 1/2 inch off the top of the wall with all the nails and drywall already in there. So that's why we did that. So now that our counters are projecting over the cabinets more than originally, 3 feet like I said, I gotta support that. So we have several options on how to support this. You do a leg. This cabinet company makes a leg, but nobody else seems to like those.
Yeah, no way, dude.
A corbel, maybe we can make our own bracket that attaches inside here and hangs out this way. Embed some kind of steel strip underneath over the cabinets for support. I've also seen honeycomb aluminum used to support stone counters. I actually got to tour a custom aircraft shop in Santa Barbara years ago. They actually were finishing up a 727, a private 727, master bedroom in the back, a theater, pizza oven. The plane was unbelievable. We had to wear Tyvek coveralls, booties, gloves, and couldn't touch anything. And they use the honeycomb panels in aircraft because of the strength, but also because it's so lightweight. Even the cabinet doors and drawers were made of that. They would inject epoxy in the aluminum honeycomb at the hinge locations, put veneer on each side with a wood trim, and then the screws for the hinges would bite into that epoxy. It was really cool, but the stuff's incredibly expensive, and I don't even know that it would be strong enough. Maybe we just need to replace this 3/4 inch plywood with a piece of 3/4 inch plate. That would hold it up. or aluminum. So let us know in the comments how you would support this into this stone. Maybe you have an idea that we haven't thought about. We have one more piece of subtop to put down, and that is that one right here in this bay window. Now we have several issues we have to deal with. Number one, it is uninsulated right here. This is just 3/8 or 1/2 inch plywood separating this kitchen from the outside. So we're gonna insulate that. The second problem is it is way out of level. It is pitched down towards that window. I don't think it's sagged. I think it was framed that way. I don't know if it was for drainage for this part or what, but we have to fix it. Third problem is if we put our subtop on top of there, we put our stone on top of the subtop like that, this stone is gonna crash into the window way up here. It's too high. So we're gonna put the stone there with the subtop in back. And now our stone is gonna land about right there. Perfect where we want it. So I think our first step, Jordan, is to go outside and cut the foam that I have to insulate this little space.
Let's do it.
All right. Is that right, dude?
It looks really bad. It looks really out of level.
Yeah, well, the framing is way off. But the laser doesn't lie, does it?
No, man, we used a laser and a level.
Yep. All right. Let's go cut this piece of plywood.
All right, gang, we're up on top of the subtop right now. I feel weird being in front of the camera. It's like, you know, we're up on top of the subtop right now, and we're getting this. You would call this a subtop? I guess, huh?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, because it's below the countertop. So we're doing this up in the bay window. Now, this is a little finicky because the framing and there's concrete, there's a bunch of variables in this bay window. We're trying to get this piece of plywood as level as possible. So
You said concrete. What's the concrete from?
So we think that when they were building this house, they were using the boards in the back as concrete screeds, maybe for the foundation and the slab, and then they just decided to throw it up in the bay window. That's really common above doors as well. We see that a lot above doors for headers and stuff like that. So that's all we think it is.
They use the formwork to actually build the house later.
Right. So that's good waste management. So good for them. And the GRKs went right through it, had no problem. So we're up here on the subtop, like I said, and you saw us drill those pocket holes. We're using the pocket holes to go through the subtop into the house framing. This is actually the exterior of the house. We're going through there, and we're actually, we drilled pocket holes, but we're not using pocket screws. We're using these guys because we don't have pocket screws long enough. They don't have to be pocket screws.
Not for this.
No. And then come here close, Dad. You can see that the plywood is actually below this framing, and we need them at the same level.
Right.
So we're using this scrap piece of plywood, and we're not going to cover up our pocket holes, so we'll go in between them. We're going to drive this into the plywood, just like that. And now we're going to take another screw and we're going to drive it into the framing. So we're going to get it tight up against the framing, and then once this block is tight up against the framing, we're going to tighten these back ones in the plywood and pull it up and level with this. Right on. Nice. There's one, and there's two.
Cool. All right, two more, and I think we're ready for stone. Nice job, bud.
Thank you. All right. Right on, dude.
All right, cool.
Counter guys are going to love that.
Yeah, they will.
Whoa.
Nice and strong, level. just like we like it.
Yeah.
All right, gang, there's our subtop, like we showed you. So our countertops are going to project out 1.5 inches beyond the face frame. And then the farm sink is going to project out another 1.5 inches for a total of 3 inches.
Dang, that's kind of sticking far out there.
It does, but it gives you all kind of room behind it. It's really cool. So why don't we take this off of here, go grab that farm sink, put it on here, and dial that in. All right, gang, put our farm sink on here. And remember, we just used our temporary LVL spacers that we made earlier. Go back and check that video when we got the height right for our drain. And we're just gonna use them for the whole sink because they're super strong. Now here's a challenge. We have a fired product, that's fired in a kiln, so nothing's straight. And the front is rounded. And this wall is not square or parallel to the face of the cabinets. How do we get this where we want it? We already have our center line established on the wall. So we came down here and put the center line on the cabinet. And the right-hand side of the piece of this tape is the center line because we couldn't see the pencil line on there. And then we also have the center of the sink marked. You can see how difficult it is to see the pencil lines, but anyway, the center is between those lines. So it's easy to get the sink centered like that, but then how do we know it is straight this way? So we put our straight edge on a couple of blocks to span across the top. And we're just gonna eyeball that right here. If you come down from up top, Jordan, you can see how off we are. So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bump the right side in until we are parallel right here.
Keep coming on my side a little bit.
A little bit more?
Yeah. I think you gotta come in a little bit more here.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I'm actually looking through the camera and it's telling me that you gotta bump it in a little bit.
Okay,
Than that.
a little bit?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm talking like, 16th. I think that looks great.
Looks good.
Yeah. Did you just put in a finished sink product by eyeballing it?
Yes. All right, let's remove this, take some measurements, and notch our subtop to fit around that. Because here's what's gonna happen. Pretend that's our subtop, and our stone is gonna go just like that.
Beautiful, man.
Just like we planned it a month ago.
Right on.
All right, gang, we brought in our subtop that we cut out for the sink, put it in place, test fit it, it looks great. But I think our LVLs down here that are supporting the sink are a little high. Let's check this out. Can you hear that? So our stone is hitting the sink. It's gonna be up a little bit because they're gonna put some silicone or some adhesive on here. But I wanna make sure there's a nice bead of silicone here to keep water out. So let's take the sink off of here and we're gonna bring those LVLs outside and take 1 blade's width off of them. That'll drop the sink an eighth and we'll be fine. I think the top 2 questions people have about installing a farm sink, once you get past the plumbing and everything else, is how do you support this when you have a dishwasher to the right or to the left? And the second question is, how do you fill on this spot here and here on the side? So we're gonna show you exactly how we tackle that. But first, why don't we get this sink out of the way, cut these down, and we'll take you through it step by step. Alrighty guys, worked out perfectly. Now let's show you how we fill in the gap between the cabinets and the sink. I'm going to use this same filler material that came with the cabinet package that we used over here to fill in between the cabinets and the walls. I'm going to use that right here. But I don't have anything to attach it to, so we're going to put plywood behind it and then probably hot glue this to that plywood. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go outside and cut the plywood. And we have a piece big enough, and we're going to make 1 piece and cut out the notch for the sink. Follow us outside, it'll make sense as we build this thing. So step number 1, cut the plywood. Let's see how she fits.
Oh, that's gonna be nice, dude.
Yep. So you can already see how this is supporting our plywood, and we'll have an additional piece here all the way to that back ledger. we put on, and then we'll have all this surface to attach our trim to on the bottom and both sides. So the way we're going to attach it to the bottom and the left-hand side, we're just going to get under here and screw through this panel into the plywood. Here, take those drawers out, and do it from there. Let's get that done, cut that piece, and we'll be almost done, bud.
Let's do it.
All right. So this side and this side is secured with screws. Now we got to get this one where we want it. I'm going to take my scrap, put it there, put the level on there like that, and see I can move that? That's where I want to be. So I'm straight. Now we'll take the measurement from the ledger to the inside of that plywood. I'm at 21 and 15/16.
All right.
Let's go cut that and install it. All right, gang, that is really strong right there. And now you can really see how we did this. We cut this U-shaped piece of plywood. It's gonna act as backing for our trim piece. And it's also supporting this piece right here because we don't have a cabinet or anything right here to support this up top. So we had to make this to do that because we can't rely on the dishwasher. But you know what we can rely on? We can rely on this thing to hold up that sink. You think that'll hold the weight, Jordan?
I think that'll hold up you, me, and a truckload of tools, dude.
That's right. And remember, this cabinet is very well supported on all four corners. And you'll notice we took the same material. We had some scrap LVL left over. You've already seen these. We cut these little spacers just to tie it all together with 4-inch screws. I'm going to slide it forward, screw it to the plywood. So when we put our sink on there and push the sink back, this doesn't move and block this opening we made back here for the plumbing. And so speaking of plumbing, we took care of all that in the back. But we need a hole here for the disposal to fit. So why don't we put the sink back in there again? We'll trace the drain, take the sink off, and enlarge that hole so the garbage disposal will hang there without obstruction. And that jigsaw was giving us trouble, huh?
That is arguably the worst jigsaw job of my life.
Well, you know what? I think the last time we used that blade was cutting that fiberglass, and I bet it ruined that
Oh,
blade.
yeah. Well, a lot of guys were commenting on that installation video that we shouldn't be using the jigsaw. We should be using... I mean, there were so many comments on what to use instead.
Use mom's bread knife.
I mean, that was my favorite. Yeah. And, you know, the only person who's going to be seeing that is our plumber.
Yep.
But he's going to be so distracted with the amazing plumbing work that we did.
That's right.
That he's not even going to care about the hole, dude.
Well, and it's so much better than what you normally see. Somebody just gets a reciprocating saw and gouges it out. That's awesome right there. I feel like we planned for everything. The drain, the faucet, the disposal, putting this backing on. All those problems you can run into on a farm sink. And you guys might be asking yourself, why are you going to all the trouble on this farm sink? Well, this cabinet manufacturer does not make a farm sink base. This cabinet right here is identical to this one. It's gonna have the same two doors, everything. So early on, we built a toe kick right here and just pocket screwed it together to match this side so that the cabinets are the same height above the ground. So that was pretty easy. And you saw everything else we had to do. Cut out the back, cut this out, build this frame to support the sink, make all this to support our trim pieces, to hide the framing right here. All those details that go into this farm sink. Pretty crazy, but I feel really good about this. We're gonna throw it in there one more time and check it out. So that's gonna be a wrap for this video, gang. We hope you picked up some tips and tricks. And Jordan and I just learned that the manufacturer of the like button does not make a base for it. So go out to your shed, get some wood, make yourself a like button base.
They might have to modify the plumbing as
Might
well.
have to modify the plumbing on it too, make sure it's cool. Figure out what you're gonna do about all those trim pieces around your like button. When you're done with that, smash it for us. We would super appreciate that. Ask us a question, drop us a comment, and we will see you on the next one.